Hello everyone, it's been a little while. Hope you've all had a very Merry Christmas. Hopefully you got everything you wanted and everything's gone alright. I'm hoping this is all coming through okay. I'm being told my stream's a bit unstable, so hopefully it's not too much of an issue. But I realise there's a chance there might be. Please do let me know, though, if it's unbearable. Okay, it seems okay on Twitch's end, so we'll see. Hopefully it's alright. So, today, I thought that do a bit of painting. Now, for anyone who's seen me before, you'll probably notice that over here, my hand is about the right place. Ah, wrong hand. So, around over here, you'll probably notice my PNG's there, rather than my usual VTuber avatar. That's because I couldn't get VTube Studio to work with the actual second webcam, which is awfully annoying. Hopefully I can get that fixed in future. So for now, I hope you don't mind me using the PNG. I wonder if the instability is due to YouTube, but then we'll see. Internet speed's fine, so hope it's all okay. Now, of course, naturally me being a little unprepared, I've not quite got all the paints I need out, which is very annoying, but I'll keep them all right here. So, today, we're going to be painting some Flesh Eater quartz. I'll show you off this one in progress at the moment. I don't know how well he comes up on the camera. On him. Now, I do apologise for any scuff on this. This is the first time I'm doing a proper webcam stream. Well, I shouldn't be using webcam, so I am a little bit of a novice using the cam like this. But hopefully, it won't be too bad. So this guy's partway through. He's not quite done yet, but he's at a point where I can start highlighting him, getting some extra washes done. The wings aren't quite the purple I want. I do have a finished example, actually, that I want to emulate. So, this fella I have here, bring him up nice and close to the camera for you. This fella right here, more in line with what I'm going for. So hopefully we can achieve something on those lines. I'm just going to put him back over here. We've got a couple of lovely ghouls to paint up, and a very noble regent here, our Gore Warden. A new unit for the ghouls. This guy is essentially what's called a martial lord. So he is appointed to defend the borders of the Summer King's lands. I would show you the Summer King, Usharon, but he is sadly not around at the moment. So that looks really bad on camera, I realise. Shaking up the paints. Always shake up your paints before you use them. It's just a good idea. Yes, this is going to be my palette. Do forgive me. I have some water off to the side. And a beverage for me. Hopefully I don't mistake them. I think this should be the appropriate brush for my needs. Water this bad boy up. We'll get started. Let me know how the music is, by the way. I've got some music through Streamlabs I'm playing at the moment. I've also got a couple of bots running. So a couple little commands here and there. Hopefully all that's working as intended. So, let's get started with a bit of Pallid Witch Flesh. Now, this is quite a light white paint. This is more for highlighting, not a base colour, so that's fine because we only want to apply it thinly. This might want a little more shaking before I got it out. It's fine. Nice little tip on the brush, and then we'll get started. Avoiding those recessed layers if we can help it. The idea here, obviously, we want to try and get the areas where light would be touching and leave the inner parts of the muscle darkened by our wash, which I'll show you that process later. This one's a bit further ahead in its painting. The rest I've yet to do, so we'll be doing that shortly. Yeah, that's a bit of a ghoulish Christmas for me. I've had a nice little addition to my royal court. Some noble lords, glorious knights, and ghouls plenty. So we're going to aim mostly for the sort of latter areas of muscle where the shade hasn't settled too much. Pectorals, abs, that kind of thing. Just that muscle that's really sort of stood out. Sort of distinguish that muscle against flesh. We are going to give it another wash of Agrax, probably just to dirty him back up. I think it's more of a shake. I think there's enough paints actually. I'm just going to shake it here so you can see what my hands are doing. Right. Before everyone asks, I'm right-handed. Before that question even gets asked. I am keeping my water a bit off to the side, a little sort of divot on my desk. That's just so I don't cause any spillages by mistake. I don't want to make my keyboard wet. Not the ideal situation for it. I've had the thing for 10 years now, and it's done me very proud, my Q-Pad. Not sponsored. Though, Q-Pad, if you do want to sponsor me, I won't say no. Someone who's using one of your keyboards the longest time, I can attest, you're a good keyboard. Now, I didn't have a particular quartz paint scheme in mind, but I guess it's quite close to Gristlegore, I believe. Which is probably with the starter box you get at them. Well, you could get until recently. They didn't produce that many. You probably can't get it now. But it feels like it's the best sort of one to go with, honestly. At least for starting out. Just for the sake of rules, if you're going to play the game. Because realistically, you've got your Gore Warden, right? You're making your general. You've got a lot of your... What are they called now? The Guardians? No. But the new Ghoul units. These little fellas. These are sort of a newish troops choice for you. And honestly, they're pretty cool. They're ghouls who have managed to wrestle some rusted, tattered weapons from the Horde. After their lord has spotted them doing, I believe, a good feat of resilience and strength. For their fealty and loyalty, they've been rewarded by joining some upper echelons of ghoul kind. Though not quite like this knight here. No, this chap has earned his place in the court. You see, to be a crypt player, you've got to have really earned your king's attention, because you get a little bit of Terrorgeist fed to you, with of course a helping of his blood, as the abhorrent vampiric blood greatly enhances not just the ghoul's size and prowess, but just bloat them to immense strength and power. Of course, making them closer to undead in a way. Because yes, the ghoul's not truly undead. A little bit of information for you there. The ghouls are somewhat actually alive. They still retain a bit of their humanity despite their predicament. Because ghouls essentially in the Age of Sigmar setting and in Old Warhammer Fantasy, they're, I guess the best way to describe them is the kind of halfway alive, halfway dead. They're essentially these malnourished creatures. They're basically the cannibals, essentially. What cannibalism does to you is it puts a malign influence on you, and this is something that was referenced a lot in various cultures. The Wendigo, for example. The original myth, the Wendigo, is probably the closest thing, not the Europeanized version. As much as I love the aesthetic of the Europeanized version, by the way. But the original one is a starved, emaciated tribesman that's ate his own. Has fallen to just degeneracy and hunger. Now, the ghouls, the Warhammer setting, are very much like that. Though in Age of Sigmar, they're quite prolific. During the Age of Chaos, Sigmar essentially went to war with Nagash because Nagash, the god of death, he turned on Sigmar. Well, he didn't really join him in his most important battle, if I remember correctly. And Sigmar lost it after Nagash essentially said, well, screw the gods of order, I'm doing my own thing. Nagash also wants order, by the way. But it's his order. Stagnancy or death. He is all powerful and in control. And of course, him and Sigmar went to blows. But there are people living in the realm of death, you know. There are normal human beings like you and me living in those realms, right? Many actually fought Sigmar because, well, he was attacking their home. Sigmar, in his rage, struck them down and destroyed many of their kingdoms. On top of this, when the Age of Chaos kicked off, well, needless to say, Archaon was not pulling punches. The Ever-Chosen, the sort of master of chaos, essentially, beneath the Chaos Gods themselves, essentially led an assault against the Realm of Death personally. His goal was to decapitate the place by taking the Gash out. Of course, in doing so, it took the entire Realm of Death into complete disarray. This essentially left the people of Shaiish to fend for themselves. And naturally, many of them were left homeless, starving, alone. The realm that was no longer as safe as it once was, the Golden Age. The Realm of Death became a lot more, well, more to its name. Of course, many of those people ran out of resources quickly. Many of them did not make it to any shelters. Many to find to begin with. Of course, What's a man do when he's got no food? He's starving. His family's starving. What are you to do? Well, you find food. Whatever you can. And of course, that food might have just been your brother in arms 5 minutes ago. Right now, your brother in arms looking very tasty. Not in a fun way. Not in the way Slash. Well, actually, no, Slash would approve. But point I'm getting at, they'd essentially begin to consume and eat, devour their own kin. Left and right people would just butcher each other like animals. But those ghouls, not all of it was because of starvation, but a lot of it was initiated by it. One could say that their to-be masters, the Abhorrents, which were also released during Sigmar's wrath, Vishron himself fled into the shadows, but his sons and daughters, they went out there, found subjects, hungry subjects, offered them a safe place, because of course, a Chaos Warrior stands very little chance at felling a mighty abhorrent vampire in one-on-one combat. Only the mightiest of Chaos could do that easily. And the various beasts and monsters that were roaming the land at the time, demons, well, the abhorrent vampires could fell them too. These noble lords brought food, prosperity, and in a time of desperation, you were presented with a feast, your mind slipping, your hunger, your mouth salivating. Well, of course you're going to say yes to him, aren't you? You look at your starving child in the eyes. Are you telling me you wouldn't take a bite? And then, well, he's got you. Right in the palm of his hand, he's got you. And furthermore, you're lost. Your sanity completely forfeit. You are now a ghoul. But you don't care. That's not what you see, is it? No, you don't see that. No, you see a beautiful king or queen, court of merrymen, joy, your family and you no longer hungry. You're a man-at-arms perhaps now, or a courtier. You look upon noble court and you're feasting, you're happy. What a beautiful sight, don't you think? All the while, that's not what everyone else is seeing, potentially. That's not what the world sees you as anymore. No, the world sees you as something much more horrible now. You've become this monster, this half-alive beast. But you've done well. Your king has rewarded you. You feast upon, well, you drink upon Grail and take flight. The noble, valiant knight, such as this. This was once a human, would you believe, once upon a time. This was an average human, once starving and abandoned. Now a mighty knight. A creature to be awed upon. At least, as far as this its kinsman would think. But, again, the world just can't quite see it that way. They scream, but they're enemies now. They're invaders. They're not on your side, are they? No, no, they're intruding on your king's realm. And so you must fight. And that is essentially the story of many ghouls throughout the lands. That is their story. How a once normal human left to starve and turn into a beast. A bestial creature with only hunger. But you're happy at least. Perhaps you may even be ascended. Yes, vampires can still be made after all. And, well, let's just say the blood of Ashuron, the first abhorrent. Oh, jeez, realize what's. Yeah. Well, that blood can be gifted, can be shared. I need a slightly bigger paintbrush. Should do. That should do. Speaking of that nobility, let's touch on that. Here we have an abhorrent, a vampire lord. Royalty in their own right. An extended cousin of an abhorrent, such as this noble gentleman right here. This here mighty ruler perhaps he has appointed, or perhaps the Summer King himself has appointed this Gore Warden, who is now a protector of the realm, leading Morbag knights upon grand quests to ensure the realm's security. He bears upon him the keys of the realm, an important symbol of office, of which he brings was cast upon great wings. Depending on the delusion of the ghouls, they may see him mounted, or perhaps he's an angel, aloft upon great wings, feathers fluttering behind him. Who's to say? But, nevertheless, the Gore Warden, that might be a bit too watery. There we go. Should be a better texture. Now, the Gore Warden is himself still a mighty vampire. In respect to not having quite the same authority as a fallen archregent or an abhorrent king. Abhorrent is just a type of vampire, just in case anyone's confused. They are these more monstrous, more insane vampires. Not quite the haughty, gaudy sort of vampires you'll see in Soulblights, which are more like the vampire counts of old. These are the successions to the Strigoi Ghoul Kings from fantasy. A faction I very much enjoy and hope we see more of. They're just an interesting group, really. They're a faction of vampires who don't have the same sort of trappings as the others. Sure, the necrotic vampires of old were these dishevelled, like shriveled sorcerers who lived off magic as much as they did blood. But these were the true monsters. Goy. Yet, in many respects, despite the monster without being very prominent, many of them were actually quite noble. In the old world, there's even those like the Black Prince who still holds a very strong command of his sanity and nobility. Essentially, he, unlike many other ghoul kings, didn't descend into a mad beast who fed on the blood of corpses and ghouls. No, he eats criminals like those of old did. He has built a new kingdom. Sadly, as the old world is no more, we may never see how that could have manifested into something. A new Strigos, perhaps. But we may see him again another way. They're bringing back the old world. I don't recall if the border princes were around at the time the old world's coming back in. They were being taken quite a bit before the time of Karl Franz. And those who are unfamiliar, that's around about... Actually, did I paint the wings? I could do this side. I guess I won't be purple, actually. This is a nice clean coat to go over anyway. It's a good base colour. I did hand base these, so if you see like grey come through, my apologies. The weather's not good for spraying, so I decided to hand do these. As the Age of Sigmar equivalents, they're interesting because a lot of them don't like Nagash. In fact, Ushoran himself, due to his multiple personalities, and his is like the fictional version, not like the real version. So when I say multiple personalities, I mean like the Hollywood interpretation almost. So essentially, he has different people in his head. If you want to be more accurate, I suppose. Ushoran hates Nagash for some of his personalities. Blames him for what was done to him, which not incorrect. He is completely right. The Lord of the Undead did imprison him. There's even a passage from the book where he's tearing into someone who's begging to know why he's so angered by them. He served Nagash diligently. He states, "You profess to love the one who has marked me so I will send you to him." Essentially, Shoron has a shard of very potent death magic in his very forehead. His crown's essentially a part of him. Nagash put in him. And it's argued that Nagash is the reason why Shoron's gone absolutely stark raving mad. Of course, the stories of Ushoran, well, it's hard to tell. The myth and legend of the ghouls is mystery. Mostly because they're all fucking mad. So no one knows what the hell they're on about half the time. Imagine some lunatic cannibal runs up to you and goes, "Glory to the Summer King." Who the fuck's the Summer King? They're about a vampire. You wouldn't associate that with summer, would you? But the ghouls are weirdly involved in a lot of plots, not of their own volition, by the way. Whatever they think's going on is not quite the case most of the time. Essentially, another vampire called Neferata, Ushoran's sister, who is not a beast like him. It's more of the classic vampires. She has essentially been spreading his blood to various cities. Because, of course, drink the king's blood and you go fucking mad. In fact, when he awoke, an entire city's worth of a crusade force left a city. They weren't sure why, but they left. It's a massive army of people. And of course, they encountered him. They encountered him, and the minute they saw the glory, the immensity of His Majesty, Huron, the Mortarch of Delusion, well, that was it, wasn't it? They fell to their knees. Sanity took them. They were his faithful subjects from evermore. The Paramore court. Paramore court's an interesting one because half of them completely now serve Huron and believe him to be a god. Essentially, Haramore's entire story is a bunch of knights were looking for something, and God told them, a golden god told them, they must find these artifacts. So they went searching, didn't they? They searched, and they searched, and couldn't find it. Supplies ran low. They didn't give up. Their god had told them to go looking for something. How dare they even consider turning back? So they kept going. Onwards and onwards. Starvation taking hold. Even their horses were forfeit. So when the Aberrants found them, well, of course they took them in. Made them knights again. As such, Harrowmore has a lot of crypt horrors. I imagine a lot of Morbag knights as well, I suspect. This fine gentleman here is a Vargulf courtier. You may know the Vargulf from Total War. Well, they redesigned him a little bit. This is essentially a vampire losing himself to the beast within. Truly. In the Flesh Eater courts, well, he's a hero. He's a noble gentleman of the court. And it behoove you to besmirch this fine chap. Wouldn't live long enough if he tried anyway. Of course, with Harrowmore, to jump back to them, Harrowmore, essentially, half of them still believed in this quest. It's very likely what they were knights who were sworn to Sigmar's service. When he was going to close the gates to the realm of heaven, the heaven's realm that he was in, Zir, there's heaven's realm, isn't there? Essentially, he told a bunch of knights to go looking for something. Unfortunately, he never turned off the devices he was using to hide many of his important relics. So, let's just say they were never found. Because these devices which hide them make you forget. Using shadow magic. They essentially make you forget things. They make you ignore things that are there. Like a perception filter, almost. As such, they've never found what they were searching for. Because they never found what they were searching for, they kept searching. They are still searching to this day. Here's one of those Morbag Knights I was telling you about. Bring us up to the camera so you can get a good looking at him. The Morbag Knights are a new unit as well. They're essentially, well, the best way to describe them is they are ghouls who have been granted a beast. They don't drink in the king's blood, but the beast has actually. These creatures are likely descended from the god beast known as Morbag, which is a great bat. The larger creatures are likely what make up the Terrorgeists, these great undead bat-like creatures that cause true terror throughout the realms. And a monster that kings quite often ride. But only a king is fit to ride such a mighty beast of power. Along with the zombie dragons, of course. Now, I can get this into his faceplate, or actual face. What colour to do the bat? I'll give him this Rakar flesh bone first. And then we can decide later on specifics. This is a good solid base coat. Now, obviously, Harrowmore's not the only court. I mentioned Gristlegore earlier. And I'll tell you a little bit about them too. Gristlegore are essentially natives of Realm of Death, or Shaiish as it's known. That's from what I remember. They essentially valued life quite a bit. They valued their own lives in particular. They would refuse to do last stands. They would lose a lot of ground to the enemy, and it's likely as well that it was them who was attacked by Sigmar in his rage. But also the forces of chaos that decimated their lands too. As such, the lands decimated. Well, they were ripe for the abhorrence. Just what they needed. Subjects ripe for the picking. So, the court was born. Here's Gristlegore. Might be getting my courts mixed up here. Let me pull up the book. And also apparently drop my model. Knocking off his base. God damn. Well, at least a bit of super glue's kept in place. Oh, Jesus. Right, it's fine. No actual damage was done. A detaching of a foot from a stand. It's fine. We'll come back to him. My clumsiness, I didn't notice. That was right there. I'll believe that. What I think we'll do, you there. We might just need to superglue. A little recommendation for them, I think, is to superglue them, because the contacts are very small, and obviously my plastic glue was not quite done what it's supposed to have, which is annoying. Although him being off his base does give me more of an opportunity to paint him easier, so I think we'll do that. Might make this a bit easier, actually. So, a weird boon. Not quite how I wanted to get the boon, but the boon nonetheless. But yeah. I might be mistaking two of the courts here, but Gristlegore might be the beast one, so I don't quite know Gristlegore's story as well, but their entire thing is monsters. They have a menagerie of beasts, so they can take royal zombie dragons and royal terrorgeists. Battle line. such, you can get these armies of just monsters. Very dramatic music as I start talking about the monster faction. One of the factions I really like, those Blister Skin. They're a cool faction. Blister Skin are a bunch of religious fanatics in the realm of fire who worship the sun. Of course, their mechanic is they make all their abhorrents priests. But on top of this, they essentially go on these grand pilgrimages, their skin literally blistered from the sun. And if you're wondering, vampires in Warhammer don't care about the sun as much. In fact, a lot of them could just turn it off. Though, as far as Blister's origin, the Realm of Fire had a very bad time in the Realm of Age of Chaos. Oh, hello. Thank you very much for the follow there. D6 painting. It's very kind of you, my friend. Welcome to the stream. We hope you're having a very good time. As I regale and hopefully not bore about the lore of the ghouls. Where was I before I lost my thought? Yeah, that's it. So the blister skin, they're very striking, quite unique aesthetic to them. They're not these pale savages. They're, well, as it might imply, their skin is red and raw. Their back is burned, bloodied. Imagine constant sunburns, the point where your skin just comes off. That is blister skin, essentially. It's quite an image. I hope we haven't eaten recently after me saying all this. I'm doing mine a bit more on the paler side, though I'll be reattaching this fella before I do anything more with him. Perhaps when I take a little break later, I might go ahead and super glue him on. I've got some Gorilla Glue of some stuff. I recommend it. There's a nice little bubble effect as well, actually. So if you want to like have some terrain mixing with your sort of base, it's quite nice. You can sort of manage the bubbles quite nicely. And it's strong, very strong. I may want to get a smaller brush. One of these. So quickly wash this one out. Now, thankfully, I've got a nice selection of ghouls for the painting. Of course, speaking of painting again, very thank you to D6 Painting. Very kind of you to follow the channel. Just take a quick nosy over. So the YouTube side's doing. Yeah, YouTube side's doing okay. That's good. Apologies, I'm trying to multi-stream. Obviously, I've not super advertised it. And I'm mostly focusing on Twitch as per their terms of service. But I do want to make sure the YouTube side's working, at least. It does say my stream's unstable, but it looks like it's going through okay. Obviously, it's hard to say with being a bit of a delay, but no one's flagged up in chat saying, hey, things are a mess. So I'm thinking at least something's doing right. I'll give that brush a thorough cleaning after the fact. Now then, this medium brush should do the job. Let's paint these new ghoulish units, who essentially these are a more elite formation of ghouls. They're essentially protectors of their lords and buff up their saves. This includes a Shuron, who, when he comes out, I will say will be a powerhouse. Looking at his rules, but as a model, he is absolutely gorgeous as a model. I very, very much look forward to painting him up. I'm rest assured, that will be done live. Just likely here on Twitch. Well, yeah, I'd say probably, unless, I decide to switch over, but I'd say more likely than not, I'm sticking with Twitch. It's done okay by me so far, so... Now, as for this flag, this is a skin flag. I realised I've had my hands away from the camera, so I do apologise there. I'll try and keep my hands more in line so you can see as I get paint all over my fingers, and hopefully just my fingers, not my hoodie. God, I've been doing this for an hour. Can't believe it. Honestly, yeah, the thing about doing these streams is quite nice is it gives me a good excuse to sit down and do things I enjoy like this, where I can sit down, paint something, and I don't mind that there's no one around at the minute. I appreciate this style of content. It isn't going to get me super popular, but I enjoy doing it. I think that's okay. Some might call it a bit of a cope, and yeah, maybe it is, but I don't want to be doing content on things that don't make me happy, because who wants to watch a streamer be unhappy, right? I mean, sure, I could play something like Valorant or Apex, and they're okay. Played a bit of Valorant, it's alright. I think it's a bit oversaturated from like the Twitch side of things, but it seems fun enough, and maybe we'll play a bit on the channel. But to be honest, sometimes I just want to do a calm stream like this. But there's no game, there's no stress, it's just me, a camera, doing a little bit of painting work, and that's okay. Whoever comes in, comes in. And, of course, very much welcome to come in, say hello, if you like. It'd mean the world to me, but if you want to lurk, then please don't be afraid to do so. I tend to lurk on streams, what makes me feel comfortable. Sit back, let the streamer do their thing. That's what I tend to do. Some I'll interact with, like with Favy, for example. Despite my teasing, I very much do like the guy. He's fun to watch. I only hope I can be as half as entertaining, honestly. Despite my endless teasing. Oh, do I tease him sometimes? God. Atrocious. But I tease people I like. I tease people I think are fun. It's only banter, never serious. I always worry people take my banter as serious, but it's just banter, and I only banter people I genuinely like, and I think people are okay with it. Hopefully the music's okay, by the way. I'm trying Streamlabs music. I was going to edit his audio source, but to be honest, I want to be able to control it better. I want to actually be able to hear it, so I've got some white noise in my ears. I mean, I will say I'm quite happy to say that not long till our next goal. 30 followers, which is incredible. I think I only started in September. I just see that as wonderful. paint this tabard, well, tabard skin tone as well, but I'll probably use something different on it to distinguish the skin, the ghoul's skin. Give me 1 second. Apologies about that. I don't know why my Be Right Back screen didn't come up properly. But I just checked something then. Thought I heard something bad, but it's fine. My paranoia, clearly. So these ghouls. My own delusions coming through, it would seem. It's ironic. A lot of people would never think I'd be someone who'd be into this kind of thing. Because I know personally. And when I was younger, I don't think I would have been big into painting, but it's been a comfort thing, you know? It's been a nice release. And you know what? It's been a nice release. It's been a nice little way just to not look at a screen as much and just something that I can look at and go, yeah, I did that. I did that, and I was happy with it. And honestly, I think I'm proud of most of the stuff I've made, painted. Let's try and do some cool conversion work though at some point. That'd be like my next goal. Nice conversions. Of course, for anyone in the chat, you're more than welcome to share what you're doing currently if you do any painting work. Or how your holiday's been, honestly. Now, my own holidays, it's been okay. It's been rough at times, truth be told. There's definitely been ups and downs to it. This time of year is... it's not always easy for me. It's difficult. It's not quite as happy a time as I feel like it should be. It's not been that way for a while. So, a nice escape like this is needed. Well and truly needed. I've done it again, haven't I? I think it's such a small detail. I hope you'll forgive me if I'm the model a bit close to my hand. Also to avoid being one of them knocking it over off its base, which, oh, so annoyed. But it's fine. We will sort it. Not the end of the world. We can fix it. Only fallen off because I didn't look and it fell to the floor. Thankfully, nothing was broken on it, which is an absolute relief. Don't be so clumsy. I'll see how far I feel like getting with this. At some point, my hands will cramp up, and I'll have to stop. It'll hurt too much. So I will warn you there. That might cut the stream short. I've set 4 hours aside as a goal. We'll see if we can manage 4 hours. Might not end up being 4 hours though. But it's fine. May do another stream after if it ends up being a shorter one. That one will ideally be with the little VTuber model, Metal Swishy Bean, which hopefully you guys like. Everyone is returning. I hope you like him. He won't be there forever. I say that. He won't be going away for it's like I'm not getting rid of him. Never. But I'll have my own model soon. I'm really keen to show you guys. And it's ready. I don't mean one of these kind of models, I mean VTuber one. Real deal. Is it a real deal? Blob's still a real deal. And Blob is entirely valid. He's an adorable, squishy little fella, and honestly, very simple to set up and use. Absolute pleasure to use as well. But I want something that's me, you know? I want something that's not just my adorable little bean, but something that I can point at and go, this is my representation. That's mine, not someone else's creation. If that makes sense. It's been made specifically for me, my uses. It's my image. That's what I want. And soon, that's what we'll have. This guy will have a bit more cloth, I think, to the Champions unit. This one didn't get as fully based. We'll come back to that one. Got a nice little beverage myself here. Nice little Black Russian, which is Tia Maria, vodka, bit of Coke. Thankfully, it's a very different colour to what I'm painting with, otherwise that could be disastrous. Some people do accidentally drink their paint water though, and rather unfortunate. It's easily done. Now, onto the drummer. Speaking of drumming, back to drumming up the ghouls a bit more, I think. So, you may be wondering, what's going on with the ghouls, perhaps? Why is there such a resurgence in them? And well, it's simple, really. There's been an explosion of life magic that's wiped a lot of the undead out from the realms. The Nighthaunt, which were like the demons for the ghosts, well, for the undead. These ghostly apparitions straight out of the underworld. Come to drag you straight to hell. Well, the underworld. Hell's more the Chaos God's realm, really. But point is, they hate the living. Passion. Many of them. However, when the ritual of life magic was sent out to counter the Necroquake, which is what brought them about in the first place, let's just say the ghouls were emboldened by it. So as I mentioned before, they're not true undead. There is death magic going through them, but they're not dead. as such they were unaffected. And the abhorrents probably wouldn't have been super effective to the vampires. Vampires are more resilient to things that affect the undead. Whatever negatives the vampires would have suffered. The ghouls wouldn't have. You might wonder what the Morbags, the bats. The bats are actually. They're also living. They've essentially been force fed the king's blood to pacify them, but bats are living. And yes, if you're wondering, he is playing using people's heads on sticks or bone. Essentially round up bone to skulls. He's using them on the drum, which is likely made of human skin. It's the most abundant thing they've got. And skin. What I might just do, real quick. Well, I'm going about an hour and 10. So what I'd like to do real quick is have a moment to take a quick break. Very quick one. We're also going to get some super glue and put my boy back on his base. So, hope you'll bear with me a moment whilst I sort that out. Please do not go anywhere. I will be only a moment. Right, I have returned. We have the glue in hand. Hang on. I just realised I haven't done the transition. Idiot. I'm a bit of an idiot today, aren't I? So. Now, in case anyone younger sees this, one, what are you doing on my stream? I'm probably not really the right creator for you. But if you are younger, have an adult do this. Don't do what I'm doing, because you're young. Ah, it's been cleaned up, has it? Perfect. So, I'm gonna do a little bit of a blob on each foot. Smallish blob. Each of your feet and the rock you're standing on, because we always need a tactical rock. You know the rules, it's Warhammer. We need a tactical rock. Very important. YouTube loves the tactical rocks. Doing my best not to get my fingies stuck. God knows that would not be nice. Let's try and get unstuck midstream. That's about where it needs to be. Problem with this glue is it takes a bit to dry, which is very annoying. Unless you reposition it, which is good, but. Oh, you bastard. Come on. That's why I don't want to try and stick things on stream. Okay, I'm gonna try and just leave him alone tonight. Annoying, but. Right. Imagine that sticking my fingers. Gotta keep this on hand in case I need it. Because you never know, accidents could happen, especially when you're a dozy bugger like me. So, back to the painting, shall we? Now then, this brush should be clean enough for the next step. We don't want something a bit more appropriate for shading. So, take my shade brush, and we're going to do a little bit of washing in Rakarth Flesh Shade. This will add a bit of life to them. Again, always give a shake. And then take our shade brush. Just loosen up the bristles because it's a little. I think some wash wasn't washed out last time. Ideal. God, did I neglect this thing a little bit? One second, folks. Let me just. I should have cleaned check these brushes before I use them, shouldn't I? That's my beat. That is my beat. different brush. This one's not quite in a usable state right now. Fine, we'll have to just get this thing into paint thinner for a bit. That should sort that out. No worries, we'll get a different brush. This should be... well, this should do the job. So use this. Just gonna dip it in here twice. And we're going to put it on the palette just to basically get the paint, well, the wash a bit more spread out. Once we've got a nice amount, we'll start with our Gore Warden and we'll just liberally apply it across the model. Nice thing about this shade actually, it's a very nice little shade. It's up there. Good for gold as well, actually. You want nice warm gold. Apply this to all the skin and do my very best not to let it pool. Make sure it gets into those recesses, you know. You want those nice recesses. As for the wings, I'm not too concerned because they're going to be purple anyway. Face. Leave the bones, I can do them with a different wash and just sort them out pretty nicely. Wash this chap as well. Move on to the other models now. We'll probably get a smaller brush for the ghouls, but we'll see. The Vargulf Courtier, the next fella to receive a good washing. Again, we just want to bring up that skin tone a little bit before we highlight it again with some powdered witch flesh. We're washing that brush. Now, the nice thing about a model this big is the oval bases are quite nice to hold in your hand. I should really get one of those, the G-Dub holders. Although, I won't lie, part of me is put off because they look like a fucking sex toy or something. I mean that, they really do. They look like something that is meant to be inserted. So, I'm a little hesitant to pick one up. The fear being questioned about my choices. I'm going to explain, no, this isn't that. That was sort of game of Warhammer, I must admit. I'm not playing Age of Sigmar, but I'd like to take this army out for a game. Maybe as a friend. Alright, now for the ghouls. We'll see if this brush is appropriate. If not, we can always adjust. Well, so there's enough skin on show that this brush should do the job thoroughly. And the areas that I overspill onto, I can clean those up easily. When I do the metallics, because there are some armor on these guys actually. The odd greave, helmet in some cases. They're very lucky. Hell, the Morbag Knight's got a shield. That's pretty rare. A ghoul who's got his senses about him to use a shield. Honestly, it's not as common as you'd think. A lot of them are lunatics, so. Then again, the Morbag Knights know how to ride. Flying beast. Yes, those bats can fly, somehow. They can go up in the air with the Gore Warden and survey the battlefield before they descend upon some poor fools. They seem like fairly decent cavalry, and if you take the Gore Warden as a general, well, you can take Morbag Knights as a battle line, which means they can be your troops. You don't have a limit on them. That is completely without having to have a sub-faction. What I mentioned, well, I don't think it's Crystal Gore. I feel like Crystal Gore's the monster one, but whichever one's the more infantry-focused one can take these guys as actual battle line units. So I think for this box set that they brought out, if you have that, if you only have these units, I'd recommend go with that sub-faction. It has the book in it, so you can look at all the sub-factions. But recommend go with these guys. Go with those guys, just say. And then you take these guys as battle line. You get 20 of them, so you get 2 units of 10. You know, you've got good options. You get a Vargul Courtier, you get the Gore Warden. So you've got a nice selection of heroes, and they're a horde army, so they got a nice selection of heroes. It's important because this kind of army, your heroes are so important. Immensely important. They're essentially not your heavy hitters, and for this army in particular, they do noble deeds, which then make all your guys better. These noble deeds can be used for various things, and eventually can even cause a feeding frenzy, which vastly buffs them. So useful. Can't begin to stress how very important it is. That. I will need a bit of this. Of course. Good old Agrax Earthshade. Leave those to dry for a moment. I just realised something. Head on the champion, did I do that? I have now. Okay, good shake. This Agrax has been well lovingly used. Probably need to get some more soon. Definitely get more Nora or I'll spilled some. It's very annoying. The problem with these paint pots GWs make so bloody easy to like knock over. Honestly, it's so annoying. Now, I'm not going to put too much on the brush because I don't want to lose a lot of that sort of look. However, I want to add this on because Agrax is a fantastic way of adding grime very easily. Sort of help tie in those highlights better into the main flesh to make it look more natural. I think, anyway. Obviously, if these guys are going to bloody it up a little bit, make them look all kind of nasty. Might not be the traditional way of doing it, but well, I don't like doing things traditional. I'm awkward. I'm a disruptor like that, I guess. I've taken my approach to streaming. Non-standard, non-traditional. Tradition's nice, traditions are good, but sometimes you gotta do something your own way. That's how I like to do things. Better for me, and I can be proud of it. Personally. them dry off. As for you. Quite a light amount on here, so I'm just rush that straight on. Again, I don't expect these streams to do very well because I don't think what I'm doing here is a well sort of seen category. But you know what? It's fine because at the end of the day, I think these are nice, comfy streams, and I want to keep doing these. Plus, it gives me an excuse to paint, which I think's good. I've not been doing it nearly enough, honestly. But a real issue with trying to make myself paint, which. And it's not like I don't enjoy it, I do. I love painting. Love painting models. It's just getting the motivation to sit down and go, alright, let's paint. Hardest part. A lot of reasons. A lot of it mental health related. I won't bore you too much with. I'm sure you don't want to hear it anyway. It's not pleasant. Let's see. Enough. And the stream, I think's been okay. Hopefully. I hope it has, because, I mean, audio's going through. Obviously, I've got Twitch up in front of me because I'm not playing anything, I can sort of look at it just to make sure that things are going through correctly. Excuse me. Hopefully. It looks alright. As far as I'm aware, the YouTube runs okay. I admit I'm not looking at it as much because, again, you gotta keep with that Twitch TOS. They don't want you sort of converting to YouTube. And to be honest, Twitch is currently a better streaming service than YouTube anyway at the minute. So I will check occasionally just to make sure, because I still want it to be watchable. I'm just going to give this a second. The wings are already sort of washed, but I want to give it a second wash. Just on the outsides. Away from the other wash that's currently drying still. I may run out of ghouls to paint, but we'll see. If we do, that's okay. It's not the end of the world. Always end a bit early. And tomorrow I've got another painting stream, so we can do the rest then. Also depends how far I want to get into it with this. It's end of the day. It's one of those hobbies where I find it to be one of the more wholesome hobbies I've picked up, honestly. I do it with streaming and a wholesome stream together. Hopefully everyone can enjoy. At least that's the intention anyway. Now then, I need a thick... purple. That might be a good one. What I want to do now is use a contrast paint. Reason being, I want to darken the wings of this mighty lord here. This should do the job. Give us a quick shake. So this is Black Templar. I'm going to put a small bit on here. This is quite a strong pigmented contrast paint. Contrast paints aren't all built the same. Some are much more potent than others, I will say. It's a little annoying how inconsistent some of them are, but at the same time, some of them are also really good. I'm just going to paint sort of the wing upper bits where it kind of joins to the back. I painted it over black, which is a bit more like the colour scheme you see in the base model. I kind of like the idea it shows the mutation it's undergone this vampire, because vampires don't normally have these great wings like this. That's a new thing. So, well, that's the thing this guy's got. Now, a little overspill's fine because we're going to go over this with a base paint on the wings, so if I overspill a little, it's fine. Aiming this mostly at the bony bits of the wing, less so the wing membrane itself. If we get a little overspill, it's okay. This brush is a bit to the point. Not a super pointy brush, because it's probably more of a wash brush than anything. A little overspill's fine. I'll just have to clean it up afterwards. It's alright. I would say as far as painting difficulty, these guys are nothing too crazy. They're definitely harder than some things to paint, like they're no Space Marines, right? Or Sig Marines. Stormcast Turtles, excuse me. I always call them Sig Marines. They're canon fantasy Space Marines, let's be honest. They were designed intentionally like that. That's essentially the reason they made them like that, because the new Space Marines were selling like hotcakes. So they went, right, let's make our new big boy faction fantastical Space Marines. You know, it's funny though. In many respects, the Sig Marines, or the Stormcast Eternals, in many ways have a little bit more Warhammer iconography than the Space Marines do. At least the sort of poster boy Space Marines, because something funny about 40k, which I always find very funny, and it's been pointed out a bunch, and I agree. You rarely see a Warhammer in Warhammer 40,000, do you? You often see, well, let's be realistic. You often see a sword, because let's be realistic here. The Emperor had a sword. The Space Marines used a sword. But a Warhammer in Warhammer 40,000 is strangely rare. Obviously, Dawn of War has a pretty notable Warhammer. But it's always found interesting that Sigmar had a hammer, had the Warhammer, Galmaraz. As much as he's pretty bad with it, as much as Sigmar's lore can attest, he's not very good in the fight. He's lost to Archaon twice now. Now, don't get me wrong, losing to Archaon's nothing to sniff at. He's one of the most dangerous combatants in the entire setting. Unlike Abaddon the Despoiler, Archaon's done his job. He succeeded, whenever ever two of them failed. Mostly because GW wanted him to succeed, but still, he succeeded. Chaos won. I'm not saying many Order-like factions were helpful in that. In fact, Manfred, A real good job of screwing the pooch on that one. Let's be realistic now. You can really blame old Manfred for a lot of things. He definitely made a mess of the whole situation. Obviously, can't blame him entirely, and to some degree, I get it. He was essentially being lined up for a eternity in servitude. Nagash. He didn't want that, so he chose to stop the ritual that would have saved the world. It would have meant him not serving Nagash. What he probably didn't clock was him doing that also meant Chaos won. Because then the realms of chaos, the winds of magic, excuse me, unraveled, and then the realms of chaos just ripped apart the mortal world. I need a very particular paint that I can't seem to find in my right in front of me. Brownish wash. Let's get a brownish contrast paint. Or sepia, actually. Hopefully I've got that to hand. Bingo. Yes, I do. Just acquiring more paints as I go. So from sepia and non-oil. Non-oil on the go, shall we? Fantastic wash. One I use liberally. Quality paint, this is. The reason it's always selling like hotcakes, it's good stuff. I'm going to use this natural rock he's standing on. At least for now, might just. There's a good effect against Wraithbone, I find. Washes are a bit of a lazy way of doing things sometimes, but you know what? They're effective. They cover large areas quickly, and there's my contrast paints kind of rose up. I can use this to quickly get a large bit of paint and work done. Clean it up later. It looks decent and respectable. And looks great over metallics too, which is very important. Also kind of want to make use of it onto his hairs. Specifically for the Vargul courtier. I like the idea of having a different hair colour, not having the brownish kind of hair colour or greyish. It will reflect his age and madness. Though I may have to clear this up later. It's no biggie if I do. So apologies if I don't respond super quick. I am checking the chat attentively, but of course there is a real chance that I could miss a message for a moment or two, but I'm going to try and continuously check the chat just to make sure I don't miss anything at all. So if you do have any questions, please do not hesitate to ask them. I will do my best to answer them at all. Or just say how you're doing. That's fine as well. Please don't feel like you have to chat. You are more than welcome to lurk. Just make sure that you know that I am looking. So, if you have anything you want to say, you are more than welcome to ask. That like hope I'm approachable. It's fine. You don't see my resting bitch face, so you won't see my usually miserable looking demeanour. Though I appreciate it's not the cute little bean you're used to probably seeing recently. Right. Now then. What do we want to do from here? How are my hands feeling? Is there starting to feel a bit of a strain on them? Hmm. See if we can get to the 2 hour mark. That'll be my goal, I think. Now set aside 4 hours worth on the stream, but I tend to start as a give myself that kind of time and then see how I feel after the fact. Okay, that's good. Right. So I was just checking my Discord was working as intended because I've set up a bot for it recently to ping whenever I go live. I just want to make sure that's working. And Discord intended for me as a streamer, not a personal one. Don't worry, I'm not bothering friends constantly with it. Seraphim Sepia for the bone. There's many ways to do bone. I like to use Seraphim Sepia. Maybe a little bit of Cryptic Armor Shade, one really dark looking bone. Of course, washed up my brush so I don't contaminate the sepia. This is a great way for getting bone or kind of Pyrus kind of looking effect going with the model. Which is like dirty kind of bone or bony protrusions. So things like claws. Very well into teeth. Like a yellowy kind of teeth is not too unlikely for these guys. His Majesty's as well. That sorted out nice and quickly for him. We may have to come back and clean these back up again later after painting more. So this might be preemptive, but I'll do it now so I've got it done with. This stage in the game. All of that painted up nicely. Claws. I don't mind a bit of overspilling on the keys because honestly, they're going to be tainted in metallics. I assure you, Lead Belcher will handle. What's that? Plus, the hand's going to be bloodied up anyway, so. I'm to sort of paint his. What would you call it, really? Like a collar or a sort of bone decoration? should be the apt name for it. See if his face, but obviously, let's be realistic. That's gonna get bloodied up as well. Balls on his feet. Bones, of course. The skull that's on his base. Maybe even a bit of the rope. Yellow into the rock wouldn't hurt. I'm gonna gore up this rock anyway. He's got a gore warden for a reason. He's gonna look gory. Do the flayers as well. They've got bony protrusion in the back. The mutation process, though, they are essentially a kit bash. That's official. I find very funny. But the ghouls didn't have many models, so it makes sense. G-dubs might want to give them a little something. You know what? Fair enough. Flayers are a cool idea. I like them as much as they are a cop out to get more units, but got them. It's funny, really. We have them, but we also have the Morbag Knights, which occupy a very similar-esque niche. I find very interesting. I wish I could hide the viewer count on Streamlabs, because I do it on Twitch. Because I don't want to look at it. Doesn't do pressure, and to be honest, it's not important at this stage for me. Of course, I think views is important, but I don't want to focus on it. It's not something worth stressing over. Because people come and go throughout the streams. Not everyone's got all the time in the world. Some people only have 5 minutes. And that's fine. Time is precious. As I said in the recent video I uploaded, you don't have it forever. So why throw it away? Why have to prove I'm worth that investment? Worth giving up hours potentially of your day. Watch me. Not an easy thing to prove. Hell, it's a very difficult thing to prove. It's a thing I'm going to try and do. Because it's what I want to do. I very much want this to succeed. So, for it to succeed, I need to try. I know very obvious sappy crap there, but you get what I'm saying. You don't succeed if you don't try at all. It's for everything in life. Right. Get that little splash in there. Okay. Well, as all drying up, getting quite close to that 2-hour mark, which is sort of my goal this stream. I'm getting to the point where I need to do well while I'm at the metallics, so I have to swap the water out, but next time we likely will get to it where metallics are involved, so swapping of water will be required. That's alright. Russians. Right. Now then, put some of the stuff back. Got it from somewhat orderly fashion. Yes, I tend to keep my paints up here ahead of my keyboard. It's a nice, reachable place for me. I don't have anywhere to put them else yet. Yeah. Remove my palette. Put it back. Yeah, as you can see, this guy a bit more glued to his base now. He'll be on more on display tomorrow as well. I'll have an idea of what to do with him by then. The bat's body in particular. I may have also built some more by then. But yeah, this was my very first painting stream. It was a bit of hassle with the thing falling over. I'll see if I can get that as a clip. It'll be funny if nothing else. I'll laugh at myself a little. But most importantly, thank you very much for everyone who's dropped in. D6 Painting, again, thank you very much for following. It means a lot to me. For anyone who's using the VOD, again, massive thank you. It means an awful lot for me that you'd give me that time. Even if you're just skipping through to the good bits. That's fine, that's what it's there for. With all that said, next time we will be doing some more highlights, some more washes, and also the metallics. I'll be cleaning up his wings. A nice purple base. I will try and make sure to get everything more together next time. I'm hoping in time as well I'll find a way to get VTuber side sorted so I can actually have my VTuber model there, not a PNG. I think that's more interactive, personally. I'll also look at this setup. I've got a lamp here and the light. That might be too much for you guys. Or I might have to move the lamp a bit away so I can still have light enough for me to see properly. Because it is currently not the brightest out there at the moment, so I've not got natural light to aid me. I'm quite happy to say we've hit 24 followers, which is incredible. Thank you so much, everybody, for that. Almost halfway towards what's needed for affiliate, which is incredible. But also, halfway towards our goal of 30 as well. As 30 is my current goal, and I'll intend to do that by 10, at least until affiliate. After that, we'll see. I'll get there when I get there. But anyway, enough rambling. I've just dragged this out a little bit just to get to the 2-hour part. So I at least got half the 4 hours I'd booked in. Now, I may do a little gorilla stream later on tonight. Possibly. I'll see how I feel. I might just want to relax. But again, thank you very much to everyone who's dropped by. Thank you very much to everyone who's stuck around with me. Hopefully I'll get the camera situation sorted. I did contact the VTube studio guys just to ask, hey, how to make it work. I've sadly yet to head back from them, but I imagine a lot of the chaps are enjoying a Christmas break, so I probably won't hear from them for a bit. So, all being well, I will hear from them down the road, but thank you very much, everybody. That's been our 2-hour mark, so I'll cut it off here. It's been a pleasure. You've been a pleasure. See you all tomorrow. Ta for now.